morning. Sorry if it's so dark. I was trying to sleep, but don't want to turn the night lights on because I lose my uh, serotonin or melatonin or whatever the fuck it's called. So I was having a thought while I was trying to sleep about why I don't believe the created personas are beneficial. I mean, I have some friends who can be described as being created or dream people or illusory people. And I'm not complaining, they're good people, but you don't want them as your spouse because people who you create, illusory people, dream people, are only happy, or perhaps more accurately, only able to function while you are able to function. Now, you can use the created illusory people to do weird kinds of double timed magic. You can create a shadow persona that knocks on the other side of a room from where you're standing, and you can make people who appear real for all intents and purposes and will pass any kind of Turing test that you can think of. But reality is that as soon as you begin to lose your energy and you require assistance, they will also lose their energy and require assistance. And due to this fact, when you start to be weak, they will either leave you or abuse you. And this is why it's a disease to create these personas. This is why it's schizophrenia to create these personas. And this is why they're very often called demons. And the reality is that when one of these created personas comes to me and says they are, for example, like me, are romantically interested, I scoff at them because I know the reality is that when you are weak, they will attack you. And even if they don't attack you, they will leave you. They won't get you help. I have been in this situation many times where I create friends. You can use the word make friends, but I prefer to use the term create friends. And when the going gets tough, they won't help. They vanish like farts into the winds of Sahara. And I was in this thought debating which of these relationship possibilities that I have. And I tried to tell my mind not to dream, not to have any hopes, because as soon as you put out energy, you get what you desire. So, as long as you desire a happy, fulfilling relationship, they will be with you and it will be happy and fulfilling. But if you suddenly get like heart pains, for example, and collapse to the floor and wish for medical aid, none will be provided because it is not your wish. If your wish is anything except letting God and society or what have you control over you, when you do get into trouble, if there is any aspect of yourself you have used to create architectures of the mind, they will simply say, why don't you use those to get yourself out of this mess? And no one, even were I to create the next literal Emma Watson, like the literally next Emma Watson, were I to create them from the void as an adult and they would come to me and tell me they're interested in me and they want to pay me for like all my things and then like to get over there and whatever, I would still scoff. I would not consider it reality because I know how much energy I have to put out to get a return of a relationship. And I know that if I stop putting that energy out there, I will be a flaming bag of dog shit, literally. I will not be worth anything. And these dream people or created people are created out of your love, your good side. So when you stop constantly empowering and putting that good side to the front and do anything except be the icon that they have fallen in love with, be a human being, they will leave or attack. That is the two options they have. Reality is that for a flaming bag of dog shit, such as myself, schizophrenic, psychotic, alt right, publicly labeled as a neo Nazi while being in a left wing cliche, very perverted all through school, all that stuff, the very bottom of the barrel. The reality is that I may be able to attract someone of dream like qualities. I may. But as soon as they see through the shit, they will leave. And that leaves the option of the non dream like personas. If somebody comes to me and they look like literal shit and they express an interest in me, perhaps it's possible. It's possible. But if they look good, they're wealthy, healthy, and they express an interest in me, my reaction is stop playing with me, schizophrenia. I will not literally believe you. The reality of this situation is that I have tried that path before. I have tried to live and work with the dream people, to be in their camp, but it doesn't work. When you do become weak, when it is a person you created, they will not help you. There is nothing they will do to help you. It is not in their nature. They will simply eat you. They're like cats masquerading as humans. So when you finally do die in the apartment, when the paramedics find you, the cat will have eaten you. And that is the end of the discussion. So I'm doing this basically to reinforce in my mind some critical key points of my existence. One of them is if the person you see evokes a sense of goodness in you, evokes a sense of, wow, this person might be worth the effort. They might be an actual good person. They might be interesting. Then run. Your mind is fucking with you. If it's somebody who is at the end of their line and they have nothing else and they express an interest in you, I wouldn't say take advantage of the situation, but take advantage of the situation. The reality is that I have come to the conclusion that dreaming of a good spouse in real world terms is foolish. It's not going to happen. It's an impossibility. I may get a spouse at some point, but it will have to be of the low socioeconomic status on intent of mine. And I don't mean a woolly booted hippie girl from the poor neighborhood. That would still be considered hot by 90% of the guys. No. I mean literally somebody at the end of their line. But to get to that point, I have to intentionally push these people away, these people that are the dream people. Because after my LSD meth psychosis, I realized that I had lived in a predatory system, not because I was a predator, but because I was allowing predation. I was allowing the thought of improper social balances. I was the clown, and they were the people fucking with the clown. And that was the end of it. So once I realized what was going on, that I had created a network where I was a joke and my value was none, and these people were openly loathing me, and none of them were even close to being friendly with me, I realized that I can't just remove these personas and go on my way making more of them, but that I have to remove the internal persona that caused this problem. I have to remove from myself the persona that allowed myself to believe that the side of me that I was associating with in the past is worth having friends or comrades. It isn't. It's a scumbag. And once I let go of the sending of the energy of love and was just myself, it was painfully obvious just how much the reaction I was getting was a trained response from these people. They had been instructed by society at large for most of their life that certain kind of people need to be treated in a certain way. If it is the dangerous, bulky, retarded kid, and he looks up your skirt, you're supposed to go hide there, like with Peter in Family Guy. And I realized I was the retard. I was the butt of all the jokes. I was the I was the dumbass. I was literally the scum of the earth, and it made life for me quite interesting. I realized why these people leave me alone when I am in trouble, and it is because they hope I would die. It's as simple as that. They hope that leaving me alone in my time of trouble, I would die, and they would be able to tell the authorities that he was always this way. I couldn't help him at all. And then the authorities would go like, drug problem, and then it would vanish. So when I had like a stroke, for example, with people in the room, they would just ignore it because that's what they do. They ignore it. And the hard truth is that once you realize that due to your unique smell, is the best way I can describe it, you are and will always be treated with the strictest of the soft gloves. You will be given permission to do essentially anything you want to do because you're a retard, and it will always be brushed under the carpet. And anytime you approach someone with friendliness, you will be treated with, this is the retard guy. How are you doing? Is it good day now? Like, once you realize that that is what they do, these created people. People you create in your life by trying to put yourself out there instead of just being out there. And it is very painful. And I know now for a fact that were a beautiful woman to come up to me and say they're interested in me, I would literally look at them and say, please don't. Please don't. Get somebody who's worth your time and be a good person. Don't mess with the retards. That's all I can tell you. I mean, I get it. It's fun to get them to believe that they are in a good situation. It's fun torturing people, I know, but still, please don't do it. I mean, knowing that your girlfriend is essentially the town well and everybody is rolling it up and down is something that can be considered minor. It's minor. Knowing that you are always treated like the retard when you hang out with your friends and you think that you're one of them and it's fun and it's going well, and then they go on an every friend road trip across Europe and you go, hey, can I come too? And they're like, no. And this always happens, and after a while you get the message. It's not that in as much that there's something wrong with them or that there's something wrong with you. It's just that you are running away from who you are. You are a flaming bag of dog shit with zero value. Zero. In fact, considering the fact that you most likely have some personality quirks that aren't completely in line with society, your value is far into the negative. And to get a spouse that will actually help you when you are down with such a value is near impossible. They see it as their societal curse, the curse of society, that this kind of person happened to be interested in them. And they will do what need to be done, that you are played out of the system, that you are no longer bothering anyone. But they don't do it out of love for you in as such. They do it out of a sense of preservation. They want society preserved from people like you. And these interactions with these created people, what psychologists call shadow people. I don't call them that because shadow people implies that they don't have a physical presence. They do, but most people kind of notice that something is off about them, but that is about the size of it. The reality is that once I found drugs, like literally found drugs, it was the greatest godsend that I have ever come across by a long distance. Being able to sit still and not bother anyone, for weeks, months, years, decades, not bothering. Knowing that no one, you could continue living like that and no one would ever care. Society wouldn't need to arm itself to kill you or destroy you or burn you at a stake. You can remain in your blissfully ignorant bubble and it will all just float past. That was the greatest godsend that I ever had. Looking at these people that I have seen after I started my drug journey, it is beyond a shadow of a doubt clear that they benefited from not having me around. I mean, the people who I've been around have, for the most part, become sad failures. And the people made in the creative spirit way from the very same stock that I have not been around have become enormous successes. And truth of this matter is that if it were just one data point, I would shrug it off. But a lifetime of noticing that people around me will always be worse off than the very same people if the only change is that I place them distant from me is mind opening. The realization that I'm literally toxic is one of the best realizations of my life. Knowing that no matter what I do, I'll never be lower than this. That I can use drugs for the rest of my life. And I can literally turn off the care button in my mind and no longer just care. For the longest part in my youth, I wanted to be able to not care at all. And I wasn't able to do it. And I ended up caring about a lot of stuff like the Iraq War, the Afghanistan War, and that caring cost me a lot of human relationships with people that were actually good. And the reality is that turning the care switch off is the best thing that I can do. To know that if somebody truly hits on me, I can beg them in the name of all things holy on God and on earth to not go for it. To find a proper spouse, not to dig their hands into the flaming bag dog shit, to get a proper spouse. And that is, I think, the greatest benefit to me. It is still painful. I get physical symptoms from it occasionally. When I think about it, I get like deep chest pains, almost like I'm having a heart attack, but it's just residual panic because I once called such a case in and they said it's just a panic attack. And I thought, okay, then I can't tell what a heart attack is. So when I do get a heart attack, I know I won't call you because I'll say panic attack. So whatever. Knowing that when one of these, I suppose you could call them created personas, asks me for like a relationship or anything, knowing full well that they're not doing it because they like me. They're doing it as a suicide bomber. They're seeing a target and they're running for it. And their mind is telling them that if they snatch me, they'll be able to protect somebody else, like themselves or somebody else in their group from me. And knowing that it is not love, not liking, not even friendliness. knowing that I am such a piece of toxicity that that their actions can be described as being a suicide bomber is very liberating. Knowing that it is just the local fire department running for a burning bag of dog shit. Knowing that is just very liberating. It's very liberating. So now, if I knew with absolute certainty, with absolute certainty, that harming myself in a way that would cause the physical end of my life would actually be the physical end of my life, I would end my life so quickly, so quickly. I would just jump into a shredder. But I've tried that before, and my opinion is that if it is an unhappy suicide, will reincarnate in the point of your death, in that you will, instead of going through it, feel an immense pain in the area that you were planning to go through with it in. So if you plan to shoot yourself in the head, like an hour before you will do it, you will get an absolutely splitting migraine, which is you, in fact, shooting yourself in the head and then being taken back to the moment. And in that way, I know that if I were to buy a gun from the dark web, which I could do in 48 hours, and shoot myself with it, I would not die. I would quite literally reincarnate into the same body. And I would have to solve this situation again. Is pretty disheartening, but I've come to the conclusion that since physically ending my life is not an option, it is not something I can do. I have tried the whole shooting yourself in the head thing, but reality is that for me it doesn't work. You may have a different reality. So my only option now is to pray, hope that life will proceed as fast as possible. And the only way I know of to make that quicker is through the use of narcotics. I want to speed through this life. I want nothing from this life. I wash my hands of this life. I want nothing to do with this burning bag of dog shit. And I am very sure that I would prefer to be dead, but I know it's not an option for me because once you do it once and it doesn't work, you don't really want to do it again. And if it were my choice, I would be high for the every day for the rest of my life, alone in a forest, and that would be it. I wouldn't do anything else. The literal hard truth is that I am done. I don't believe people want to help me ever. I believe they want to help society stay away from me. They don't want to help me. They want to help society stay away from me. They want to help others not be harmed by me. That is what I believe. I have had some cases of rich, beautiful, good quotes. People hit on me and offer me everything in exchange for a relationship, and I've said no because I know they're lying. Even if they were telling the truth about being interested in me, their very existence is a lie, is a fabrication. Their existence will end when my existence ends, and as my existence starts to end, so does theirs. And they will, at the same point that I lose my ability to get help, they will lose their ability to be able to help. So it is a scam. If if I am ever in the future convinced that people can see me in terms of good, I will let you know. But as far as I know of, it is in the best interest of the world community and Finland at large that I be allowed to continue using drugs until I die. I am doing what a diseased cell should do, self destruct. That is what I'm doing. A cell that turns precancerous in your body is differentiated from a cell that turns cancerous by only one thing. The cell that turns cancerous refuses to commit suicide. And in my case, I have tried suicide. I would do it if I really thought that it would end these things. I would do it in a heartbeat. But I don't think it would. So I'm taking the only reasonable choice that I can take, and that is removing myself from the gene pool to go. And towards that end, I am hoping that people comprehend my choice, that they don't need to support it because, as I said, I don't think I'll ever be supported, but I don't think it's about support. I think it's about me realizing that a certain degree of toxicity is enough. It is enough. And I am praying that I will be able to afford narcotics for most of my rest of my life. I'm now 37. I'm looking at 40, and I'm very content that I'm about to be middle age. I'm very content because it is a shorter distance to the end of this absolutely stupid bullshit life. And I hope that after I die, whatever happens after that, if there is anything, there will be some understanding of why this was such shit. Such shit. And I just, you know, so that's the short of the why shadow people are not a good thing. And boils down to the fact that you know that they don't want to help you. They want to help others stay away from you. And that is what they want to do. And it is a painful, visceral realization when you realize that somebody who you thought was your friend is actually a suicide bomber. They are protecting something that you may never understand or even see from you by getting close to you. And that realization is very, very painful to know that you are such scum that somebody would go through the effort of entangling you into something just to get you out of the field. They are willing to literally die to take you out. And that is a very visceral, painful realization. So, towards that end, I'm doing the only reasonable thing that any thinking person would do, which is suicide. And as I have tried suicide before, and I know it doesn't work for me. Twitch in my eye. As I've tried suicide before and know that it doesn't work, I'm taking the only thing I can, and that is chemical sedation until I die. Now, I'm not looking for empathy. I'm a scumbag and I know it. I tried many things to get this persona to not be a scumbag, but it is a scumbag, and that is the end of the discussion. But if I were to ask for something, it would be that you are openly hostile to the people that you think are dirtbags. Don't lead them on in a hope to destroy them in some convoluted plan. Just destroy them. It's as simple as that. Just take a gun and shoot them. It's that simple. And this whole mess of, you know, is not worth anybody's time. It's not worth anybody's time. It's it's a lie. Now, I'm going to continue interacting with the good people, but I will, like before, but with the exception of not even making projections of them, be sure that they will never get close to me because I know what I am and I'm scumbag. Nothing could literally make me happier than the knowledge that this is almost over. So, yeah, long story short, I know some people are sad by the fact that I have smoked weed for around 10 years now, and I barely remember anything of the past 10 years other than the fact that I was homeless and some people were there. But I couldn't be happier. I mean, literally, I am ready to clock out. I'm just, I'm just fucking done. If I for a second believed that shooting myself would end this, I would shoot myself in a fucking day. But even that's been taken from me. So yeah, don't expect me to like ever get a new relationship or really want a new relationship again and or happy. I were given the choice of cannabis euthanasia in that I would get higher and higher and then vanish and never return, I would so take it. This brings me to the master simulator and the fact that I haven't legalized euthanasia in it. I'm thinking that I might want to. Thank God for drugs.
One of the downsides of living a really mystical life is that when you actually do get into trouble, people tend to think it's the mysticality that's the cause of the problem. It's like when you're gay and you get HIV, people tend to think that you got it because you're gay. Then if you try to tell them that somebody stuck you with a needle, they'll just go with, that's what we call being gay. Same is true here. If you live a really mystical life and then get one of these occupational hazards, they think that it was your job and not the downsides of it.
I think I really need to legalize euthanasia. I mean, really, really. So, yeah, that's my thing, the short of it. Barring some kind of absolutely amazing miracle, I will spend the rest of my life being alone and a drug addict, and that's the way I like it. Barring some kind of really weird miracle. Because I came face to face with my own value after being told my value for my entire life and telling them that they're lying about my value, and it turns out my value is exactly what you see here. A schizophrenic. And that's the end of it. So yeah, thank you for watching.